You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Breaking news tonight in Ferguson, where tensions reach a boiling point following an officer-involved shooting that left a teenager dead. Good evening. Police officers from every jurisdiction in the St. Louis area are heading to Ferguson tonight. 18-year-old Michael Brown was shot and killed after a struggle with Ferguson police yesterday afternoon. Tensions boiled over tonight near the intersection of West Florissant and Ferguson. And News Channel 5's Elizabeth Matthews was caught in the middle. She joins us now live. Liz?
That's right, Mike. We are a little safer right now. We are at Solway Avenue and West Florissant. That's just down the street from where we were, where that police barricade was and where the crowd was creeping ever closer. We do see that police barricade, even though we're further away from where we were, because it looks like that police barricade has pushed back. They're trying to funnel out the crowd that we were talking about earlier, that crowd that kept pushing up towards that barricade. We see that police line, even though we're nowhere near where we were before because of that funneling efforts. The police chopper is in the skies right now. When we came over to this area near Solway Avenue, there was not a lot of people here, but because of that funneling effort, there are a ton of people here coming off that street, coming off West Florissant Avenue. Now, we have heard that there has been looting. We saw with our own eyes the looting at the liquor store where people rushed, went through the glass, went in to get stuff, supplies from the liquor store. We also saw that there was a fire behind a strip mall. That's all kind of in that same area on West Florissant Avenue. That went on for about an hour. Now, this all started when it was supposed to be a very peaceful vigil tonight for Michael Brown, turned into this. We do want to stress that not everyone in that march was participating in the efforts approaching those police. I want to say about a quarter of the people marching down the street for that vigil was part of that effort. Part of the effort pushing against police. We also know that the Quick Trip was broken into, the glass was busted out, and a lot of people going in, grabbing supplies, stealing from that Quick Trip tonight. Complete unrest really in the streets tonight. Just looking around, I see Webster Groves police, I see Chesterfield police, I see Delwood police, you name it, they're here. We keep seeing more police officers. We see more police officers coming onto the scene and dealing with this situation here. Like I said, the police choppers in the skies, people are standing around not knowing what to do. They don't want to go home. They're upset. Like I said earlier, a very fine line between anger and sadness. Mike, back to you.
Elizabeth, before you get away, we have been told that multiple police vehicles were severely damaged. Did you witness anything like that?
We have not seen any of that. I did hear about that, and when we were in the middle between that police barricade and where that crowd was pushing at them, I heard screams and cheers. It sounded like the crowd was actually cheering for something. I turned around and ran down to the end of where that crowd was and didn't see anything. I did see a police officer kind of pull a U-ey and go back out to a safer area, but we did not see any cars flipped upside down.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Stand by. We will get back to you for more updates. Christina Coleman is also in the thick of the unrest. She joins us now live. And Christina, what have you seen tonight?
Well, I've seen quite a few people actually trying to test the officers. Just, if you can see right behind me, they are just kind of lined up and people are shouting. But these officers have not budged. They're just standing there kind of taking the shouts and the insults. And so it's almost like people are just waiting for something to happen. We have been out here for a little bit more than an hour. I was trying to meet up with Elizabeth Matthews, but officers turned me right around. They're like, you can't go back there, ma'am. This is for your safety. It's getting dangerous. As you can see there's more and more shouting at these officers, but they haven't budged. They're standing their ground. And so we have just kind of been out here waiting to see what's going to happen, Mike.
All right, Christina, we will get back to you as well. Civic leaders are calling for a concrete long-term plan to improve relations between police and area residents. And earlier tonight, Christina was there as they gathered in Ferguson.
We shall not be moved. State Representative and Chairman of the Black Legislative Caucus told the crowd at the prayer vigil to take their anger to the polls.
Our tax dollars pay the police department, not to kill us, not to beat us up, but to protect us. And we're not getting that protection. You change the culture by changing the people who condone this at the top.
People were out here for hours
officers in front of the police department upset and trying to show police how frustrated they are.
There were so many witnesses to what happened and how the young man died, and there's outrage. There is a certain amount of fear to think that this could happen to someone else.
State Senator Maria Chappelle-Nadal believes a fair investigation could ease the tension.
We need to make sure that we have a police review oversight committee that goes through cases like this so that peers in the community know exactly what's going on.
Pastor Tracy Blackman is urging everyone to work with their community leaders to come up with a detailed strategic plan to make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
But we are concerned about the violence in our neighborhoods, the racial tension between police and the communities that they serve.
That was Christina Coleman reporting. Now, St. Louis County Police are leading the investigation, but the Attorney General of the United States has now asked the Justice Department to monitor developments in the case. Police held a news conference this morning to give their side of the story, and as Grant Bissell reports, you'll hear it's far different from the story told by witnesses.
St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar says it started with two young men walking down the street.
One of those individuals at the time came into as the officer was exiting his police car, allegedly pushed the police officer back into the car, where he physically assaulted the police officer. It is our understanding at this point in the investigation that within the police car there was a struggle over the officer's weapon.
Belmar says the officer fired at least one shot inside the vehicle, then got out and fired more.
The officer in fact shot the subject, and the subject they were fatal injuries.
Dorian Johnson says he was walking with Brown when the officer approached and started the altercation.
He said get the F on the sidewalk, and we told the officer we was not but a minute away from our destination and we would shortly be out the street.
Johnson tells me the officer then blocked their path with his vehicle and grabbed Brown through the window. He says during the struggle, the officer shot Brown once, and the two teens tried to run away before the officer got out of the vehicle.
His weapon was already drawn when he got out the car. He shot again, and once my friend felt that shot, he turned around and he put his hands in the air, and he started to get down, but the officer still approached with his weapon drawn, and he fired several more shots.
Police confirmed today Brown did not have a weapon when he was killed.
He was unarmed. He ran for his life. They shot him, and he fell. He put his arms up to let them know he was compliant and that he was unarmed, and they shot him twice more, and he fell to the ground and died.
Witnesses tell me investigators gathered cell phones that may contain video evidence of the shooting, a potential key to unlocking exactly what happened.
They killed this boy for no reason, and there should be justice about this.
Grant Bissell, News Channel 5.
So when is deadly force justified? John Gaskin III with the NAACP told me tonight what happened in Ferguson was murder. I asked the Ferguson police chief about protocol and when an officer can use deadly force.
In any situation, the use of deadly force is called for when the officer is in fear of his own safety or in fear of the public safety. So if the finding is that occurred, then that would go to the justification. However, once the threat is over, then the officer has to obviously go to a lower level of force.
We certainly believe that it is a murder. From our conversations with close officials with the St. Louis County Police Department, there were way more than 2 shells found at the scene of the accident. And for a young man to have been unarmed, at least from the information that we have right now, for him to have even been shot that many times, to the NAACP, that's a murder.
Now, both men are urging calm. Later in the broadcast, my entire interview with the police chief and what he told me about the officer involved being picked up for questioning today, and what the NAACP is doing to get the FBI involved in the investigation. Thousands of people have turned to the web to voice their opinions on Michael Brown's death. Under the hashtag RIP Mike Brown, Keem tweeted, "A shame how innocent teenagers are getting killed and nothing is being done about it. Truly a shame." On the other side of the coin, St. Louis County Council candidate Wesley Bell tweeted, "Best thing about Ferguson is our sense of community. This is the time to come together. Let your voices be heard, but peacefully." Those were just 2 of the thousands of tweets that were out there surrounding this developing situation. Reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter. Even when we're not on the air, the discussion always continues on KSDK.com. Leave a comment under the story on our homepage. A live look at Ferguson as we head to break. Police still trying to restore order there. Much more coming up in just a couple of minutes. We continue to follow breaking news in Ferguson. Chaos on the ground, riots and violence in the wake of Mike Brown's death. He was the teenager who was unarmed and shot and killed by a Ferguson police officer. Christina Coleman is back to join us live, and she is in the thick of all this. Christina?
That's right. We're just a few feet away from where officers have lined up facing the crowd. People have their iPads up and their phones. They are watching people shout at the officers and I guess just waiting to see if something's going to happen. I guess they want to get it all on video. You can kind of see it there. They're still shouting. Police are just standing there. They're not budging. They're not moving. They're guarded. You've got the SWAT team out here. Ferguson Police Department called for extra 60. We just heard what sounded like gunshots. I'm not sure what that is. It's unconfirmed. It just sounded like that, and people are shouting in the background. Again, there's just so much going on here. Earlier this afternoon, we were out here for a prayer vigil. Totally different scene, completely different. People were just praying. They were very calm. They were asking for change. And that was just a completely different dynamic out here with so many people upset. A store was looted. You have people trying to run past the police barricades. And so, you know, we're just kind of hanging out here. I tried to catch up with Elizabeth Matthews, my coworker. She is somewhere over there. I tried to meet up with her, but officers literally told me, ma'am, get out of there. This is not safe. Mike?
All right, Christina, the most important thing is that you stay safe at this hour. We will get back to you, and hopefully it will be a little safer at that time. As I mentioned, police, Ferguson police have called in 60 extra police officers from jurisdictions all over the area. The president of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, Louis Reed, just tweeted, "The loss of Mike Brown is tragic and devastating to his family, friends, and our entire community. We must not let more violence carry the day." We will continue to monitor this story, and we will have more coverage in just a couple of minutes. But we do want to let you know that thousands of students are going to head back to school tomorrow. St. Louis Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Kelvin Adams reached out to students and their families ahead of the big day. He encouraged the congregation at Friendly Temple Missionary Baptist Church to go the extra mile to achieve greatness this school year. Rockwood and Riverview Gardens are just a few of the county districts starting school on Monday. On the Illinois side, Collinsville students will also start class tomorrow. So what can the kids expect at the bus stop tomorrow morning, Mike Roberts?
Probably fog is the biggest thing, Mike. Here's a look at the supermoon as advertised from our high perspective. It's looking very great. I've got some fantastic photos to share with you in a moment. I also want to show you the radar. We have some storms to the south of St. Louis, a long way, still down in Dent County, some in Iron County. These are moving away from St. Louis, and actually they're moving away from you guys as well along the stationary boundary. So what it leaves behind is more fog and a few showers, no thunderstorms, and temperatures with a humid start to the first day of school for a lot of folks in the low 70s, Mike. I'll have more in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks. Bill Cornelius has died. He's the former president and CEO of Union Electric, the company now known as Ameren. Cornelius died Wednesday at his home in Huntley, where he was also an alderman. Loved ones say Cornelius was diagnosed with cancer in June. His official cause of death has not been released. He was 82 years old. Police are still searching for a man who walked into St. Anthony Medical Center's hospice center with a gun. The entire South County Hospital campus was on lockdown for nearly 6 hours Saturday morning. Investigators say the man walked into the hospice center demanding drugs. No one was taken hostage. No one was hurt. The suspect ran off through an unsecured door. No word yet on his description. We'll be right back. We have new video into our newsroom now. Crowds kicking a St. Louis County police car passing by. There have been reports of unrest and looting all night long. Chaos in Ferguson following the death of a young 18-year-old unarmed teenager. Elizabeth Matthews has been on scene all night, and she joins us live. Liz?
That's right, Mike, and unfortunately I'm not going to stand in front of the camera right now just because there's a lot of people around. If I stand in front of the camera, a lot of people they'll come up to the camera, and we're just trying to get a sense, give you a perspective of exactly what's going on. Again, we're still at Solway Avenue and West Florissant Avenue. Like I said in my earlier report, it seems like the police are trying to funnel people off of West Florissant down this way towards Solway, but this is the first time really that I've seen a crowd of people not chanting. For the past 24 hours, every time a crowd gathered like this, a group of people, even if it was 5 people or if it was, dare I say, 500 people, they were chanting, talking about justice and asking for peace. This is the first time that a crowd has formed that people are not chanting. It doesn't really seem like they know what to do. They don't want to go home. They're still upset. Police presence is still stronger than ever out here, and the police chopper is still up. It seems like the chopper keeps going kind of from the neighborhood, the apartment complex where the shooting happened yesterday, to this street. We don't know. We don't have a crew in the apartment complex right now to tell you what's going on right now, but it does seem like the story is out here on West Florissant Avenue. Again, this all started tonight when the family of Michael Brown, the victim in the shooting, went in, asked the public for a peaceful vigil tonight. Right now we hear some clapping. Do not know what that is about. There are some people walking away from West Florissant Avenue right now. So we're going to stay on scene and keep you updated. Mike, back to you.
All right, Elizabeth, stay safe. Thanks very much. It's important to remember the person at the center of all this, Michael Brown. He's the 18-year-old teen who was killed at the hands of the Ferguson police officer on Saturday. Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments when the deadly incident unfolded. Since then, there has been all kinds of unrests in the forms of protests, rallies, and riots. It is back to school tomorrow for a lot of people in the St. Louis area, and Mike Roberts is here with the forecast.
Fight against the fog tomorrow and maybe a few showers. Mike coming home. Slightly different story, isolated storms. The supermoon has been everything it was advertised to be. Our full moon is especially bright because of the Earth's proximity to a very close orbit, the closest, as a matter of fact, to the moon. Look at this shot Larry Tishinall sent to us, but Chris Trudeau also sent us a lovely shot. Beautiful stuff, but it is hazy out there, and to the south of St. Louis, and not that terribly far away, we've had some pretty rough weather. Had a couple of thunderstorm warnings in effect earlier today, late this afternoon, really, in Denton, Phelps counties. Those are the places, along with Iron and Reynolds, where we still have some active weather, but not much and not for long. All those storms that you see, they're right along this frontal boundary, which is going to pretty much stay where it is. It has lifted a little bit to the north, being moved by that low pressure system, but that low pressure system is tracking towards southeastern Missouri and southern Illinois. So if we see storms tonight, it will be in the Boot Heel, maybe as far north as Perryville, Mount Vernon, and that should be about it. Might see a few in Fredericktown. The rest of us will have cloudy skies. The rest of us will have fog again. And then we get a bit of a break mid-morning through the latter portion of the afternoon. Skies clear a little bit, but we wait on that cold front. That cold front comes in tomorrow in the afternoon and evening, both ahead of it and even behind it, scattered showers and storms. And then we are done. Great weather is going to be moving back in as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, it's back to school, everybody, and so that means tomorrow in the morning, a little bit of fog, maybe a shower, 72 degrees. That's not the issue. And I don't think it's going to be a big issue in the afternoon either, but we probably will have scattered showers and maybe a thunderstorm with a top temperature of 85 degrees. Wholly different will the second day of school be. 68 degrees with partly cloudy skies to start, and then coming home at the bus stop, a gorgeous Tuesday, 82 degrees. And as a matter of fact, because of this trough of low pressure, all of the rest of the week we're going to be looking at cooler than normal temperatures. This thing has been recurring all year. But here's a change. After this week, things really start to turn around, and we'll have something we haven't had in quite a while. At the end of the 7-day forecast, we look ahead to the following week, so a week from tomorrow, and it looks like we would see above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. It's been a while since that's happened. Well, at the moment, what we've got is a humid evening. It's 75 degrees at Lambert, 74 degrees in Springfield, 78 degrees is the current temperature in Springfield, Missouri. And at Lambert right now, we've got plenty to think about in the way of visibility is being reduced, because our current temperature is 75 degrees, dew point temperature is 69. So we're already again seeing a little bit of fog in some of the valleys. 84 the high, 72 degrees the low. Scattered showers are likely in a few spots overnight, but not a widespread rainfall and fog. 72 degrees should do it for your low. Tomorrow, variable clouds, scattered showers, and a few storms at a high of 85 degrees. And then even though everybody's going back to the school, weather-wise, we get the rest of the week off, and we get to look at clear skies and nice weather until Friday into next weekend, Mike.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. A young girl gets a double lung transplant. Tonight, the unique way she's giving back. We continue to follow the breaking news in Ferguson, where riots and looting followed a rally for 18-year-old Michael Brown. You can see the heavy police presence. Michael Brown was an unarmed teenager who was shot and killed by Ferguson police on Saturday. We just learned that the Missouri Highway Patrol tactical team is headed to the scene. Chief Sam Dotson tweeted, he's with city police, that we have sent officers to backfill St. Louis County police officers in the southern part of the county because those officers have been moved to North County. You can see the police line in Ferguson and the police dogs. It's a frightening scene there tonight. Charlie Dooley, the county executive in St. Louis County, just spoke with Attorney General Koster and Governor Nixon. He says in a tweet, he says, we're all on the same page, just need people to keep calm and disperse so that no one gets hurt. We continue to follow and monitor these developments in Ferguson, and we will let you know if anything more happens. You can see the police apparently moving the line just a bit in Ferguson at this hour. We will get back to those pictures and reports as soon as details become available. We do want to break away now. We could all use some good news. And a teenager from Avon, Indiana is recovering from a double lung transplant here in St. Louis. Her older sister died in January before getting a transplant, but Rosalie was one of the lucky ones. She got her lungs just 3 days after getting listed. As we learn in tonight's Making a Difference report, before surgery, she made an unusual deal with her doctor. At St. Louis Children's Hospital, they know the best medicine doesn't always come in a bottle.
How are you?
Good.
14-year-old Rosalie Albright is back for another checkup.
We have spent a lot of time in the hospitals. I've had nurses tell me that I should have an honorary nursing degree.
I mean, it's so great to see her.
What she's been through has almost been enough to stop the music. You see, ever since she was a little girl, Rosalie has expressed herself through song.
It's what she loves. She loves to sing. She loves to dance.
Which isn't easy when you have cystic fibrosis, a disorder that affects the lungs, making it difficult to breathe.
Kids can be quite functional, doing fine. They get an infection, and after the infection, their lung function deteriorates and it's not the same.
Rosalie powered through, appearing in one musical after another.
I would have to pick sometimes what scenes I could be in and which ones I couldn't because I would get out of breath.
We had oxygen tanks and chairs in both wings so that she could get off the stage, sit down, get the oxygen on, and recover.
Then life hit a sour note. Rosalie was told her lungs were failing and she needed a transplant. But before surgery, her doctor made her a deal.
If he gave her the new lungs, that she had to sing for him.
And it was kind of neat, and that was kind of like I could see the sparkle in her eyes.
Are you excited?
Fast forward a few weeks, and the stage is set. So how are you feeling right now?
Better.
You're feeling better?
A lot better.
Those words were music to a doctor's ears.
I'm gonna bake you. I'm gonna make you a donkey pot pie.
See if the fish are out today.
The road to recovery is still a long one, but the prognosis is good.
I can't help but to think the fact that she has such strong lungs, if you will, coming into this, that in many ways with her ability to sing and belt it out, that it's going to help her.
I'm gonna shake you.
A young performer on her way back to center stage with the power of music and medical science in perfect harmony.
Kind of like the Visa commercial. It's priceless. It really is.
Rosie's getting stronger every day, and so is her voice. That song, by the way, was from Shrek the Musical, a show Rosie hopes to be in when she returns to Indiana in October. A reminder, if you know of a unique story about someone making a difference, let me know personally by email at mbush@ksdk.com. More live team coverage from Ferguson, where there are reports of more rioting and looting tonight. Stay with us.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
It's 10:32 on a Sunday night, and we continue to follow breaking news in Ferguson as tensions continue to boil over after a rally to remember Michael Brown. He is the 18-year-old teen who was killed at the hands of a Ferguson police officer on Saturday. Brown was said to be visiting his grandmother at the Canfield Green Apartments when the deadly incident unfolded. Since then, there has been unrest in the form of protests, rallies, and riots. Our Christina Coleman is live on scene once again. And Christina, I guess we're all wondering, are things starting to calm down at this hour?
They are. It's a big difference a few minutes can make. The police were actually out here with their canine units, the dogs. They were just out here and just kind of pushing that crowd back. So the crowd that was here just moments ago is completely gone. They're down at the end of the street. Officers are just kind of walking forward and moving that shouting crowd back. At first, there was just no telling where this was going to go. We weren't sure how long people were going to be out here. People in the crowd were shouting, well, I guess we're going to stay out here as long as you guys are. And so, I mean, there was just no telling. So we were out here just kind of waiting to see if things got violent. They did not at this location where I'm at with the people that were yelling upon the officers. But as you can see behind me, the road is still blocked off. We can't get any farther. A vehicle was being hit as the crowd was moving that way. Officers came up to us. They were like, is that your van over there? But it was not our vehicle that was being hit by some of the people walking that way. There's just no telling how much damage has been done out here right now. Mike?
All right, Christina, thanks very much. This dramatic scene has been playing out all night long. Police just trying to keep crowds under control and having a difficult time doing it. Anger and frustration from residents after that police officer shoots and kills an unarmed teenager. Now, Chief Thomas Jackson with the Ferguson Police Department was in our studios earlier tonight. We were told this morning at the news conference that there was a struggle for the officer's gun at some point. As far as you know, was the officer injured in this struggle?
The officer was taken to the hospital for a swollen face. Yeah, one side of his face was swollen.
Do we know why? What happened?
I really can't talk to the testimony, the evidence, because I don't have it.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Sure. What is the protocol in this situation? Let's just say, at least from what we know now, that there was a struggle for the gun, and that the officer gets a hold of the gun, and the teen is no longer in possession of the gun, and he is either running away or he's got his hands up or whatever the witnesses are saying. What is the protocol for the officer? Do you use deadly force in that situation?
In any situation, the use of deadly force is called for when the officer is in fear of his own safety or in fear of the public safety. So if the finding is that occurred, then that would go to the justification. However, once the threat is over, then the officer has to obviously go to a lower level of force. But he's still...
And a lower level would be chasing, using a mace, taser, something along those lines?
Correct, a less lethal weapon. But the officer still, once an individual has committed a crime, is obligated to make an arrest. So.
Can you tell me if the officer is white?
I can't, but we'll be releasing information soon. And
can you tell me, was the officer picked up for questioning today?
He was questioned today, yes, he was.
And that's the usual protocol in these situations?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
He was questioned initially, and then this was a second.
What about any video, dash cam video, security camera video? Even if you don't get them on the dash cam, is there some audio?
No, I wish we did have that, and we've actually talked to the apartment complexes about installing cameras and partnering with us to do that. But I did just recently purchase dash cams and body-worn cams. Unfortunately, we haven't, that we just got them and they're still in the boxes.
So as far as you know, there's no video of the actual incident?
None that we can find. There's lots of telephone video of the aftermath immediately following.
Right.
But there were no cameras in the complex that caught it.
Chief Belmar said this morning that toxicology reports will take about 6 weeks.
Yes.
Who was tested?
Both.
Both the officer?
The officer and the deceased.
And the deceased.
Yes.
So they're tested for whatever might be in their system, drugs or what have you?
Correct. Yeah, it's a wide range of stuff.
Since the investigation has been turned over to St. Louis County Police, what role will your department have going forward?
In the investigation?
Yes.
None, really. We turn the entire thing over to them. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that we have a really good professional investigation, which certainly my guys are able to do. But on top of that, we wanted to avoid any appearance of impropriety. And really our only goal is we want to find out the truth. We want to know what happened, and then we want to proceed from there.